क्या कर रहे हैं यार? मजाक है क्या? दोगलापन है। मैं तेरा दोगलापन ना उतारता हूँ। देखना चाहता हूँ, मेरे को भगवान उठा ले, इतना गंदा प्रोडक्ट है।
Hey genius people! Well, as you know, Ashneer Grover is such a polarizing personality that either you hate or you like. But no matter in which group you stand, you can always pick good lessons from him. So, from this video, you will be learning 5 eye-opening lessons from the great shark. As you might know, Ashneer Grover studied both in IIT and IIM. Later, he worked hard for building brands such as Grofers and BharatPe. He also has an investment portfolio of 50 plus companies. And for the purpose of this video, instead of judging him, we are going to pick his mind for implementing in our own business. The ability to observe instead of evaluating is the best form of intelligence. Habit forming businesses. So what is the one thing which is common between Facebook, TikTok and Snapchat? Well, the one thing which is common between all these brands is they are habit forming businesses. So what do habit forming businesses do? Well, they alter the previous habits of the consumers or they inculcate new ones in the consumers. For example, Uber, which inculcated a habit of online cab booking over hiring offline taxis. Ashneer as an investor has always invested in habit forming businesses and as an entrepreneur worked for developing habitual products. But now the question is, how you can create a habit forming business? Well, habit forming businesses bring consumers back again and again without depending on any costly advertising. According to Niriyal, the author of book Hooked, there is a 4-step process for building a habit forming business. Trigger. If you have watched our fog case study video, you must be knowing something about triggers. A trigger is an actuator of behavior. It reminds the consumer about the product and thus acts as a foundation upon which habits are built. Triggers are usually of two types, internal and external. In the initial, external triggers are utilized by firms. What they do is try to capture your attention by advertising through app notifications, etc. These triggers are coupled with CTAs. CTA stands for call to action, whereby the company invites you to visit their stores or watch a sales video, etc. Once they have your attention, the main focus of these companies is to develop an internal trigger. Internal trigger is a trigger which goes hand in hand with your own thought and emotions. Internal triggers are driven by 3 core desires. Firstly, relieving pain. Secondly, increasing status. And lastly, seeking pleasure. Triggers are essential for capturing and influencing consumers. But you will not make money unless your consumers take actions. Actions are driven by 2 forces. First is motivation. Motivation is the energy to take actions which communicates with the 3 core desires of your consumers. And the second force is ability. Ability is simply the capacity of your consumer. In order to persuade your consumer to take action, the task of adoption must be simplified. This can be done by reducing the steps for purchasing or reducing the price of the product. Investment. Have you ever observed how people wait in queues for purchasing a new iPhone, or back in the times how people waited 6 months for receiving a Harley Davidson? Well, that is what we call consumer investment. The more a person uses your products, he or she will be more invested into you. Thus, large companies focus on improving efficiency of their products. Variable rewards. The basic thing you need to know is your products must deliver on the promises. This keeps the consumer engaged. But to keep your consumer hooked, you can always add an element of novelty. If you have something new to offer, it makes your consumer return back for more. The mindset of founder. The success of a startup depends on the mindset and skills of a founder. Usually, the investors analyze the founder before investing anything. Even Ashneer has his own fundamentals for deciding the credibility of a founder. Firstly, the founder is highly motivated to succeed. He has a great desire of victory, in spite of any odds. Though all of this sounds like a motivational speech, you must remember that it's your desire that will help you prevail in the time of crisis. Secondly, the element of honesty should be present in your attitude. There will be some things which you know and there will be some things which you don't.
आवाज में conviction होता है.
You must be able to accept that you do not know certain things, but you must have a conviction to figure out the answers as soon as possible. You have your own back. Before co-founding BharatPe, Ashneer Grover used to work as a CFO at Grofers. He toiled very hard for building Grofers into a successful brand. But later, he developed certain differences with Saurabh Kumar, the co-founder. Consequently, he was forced to resign from Grofers. After he left Grofers, he was looking for a work opportunity, but nobody seemed eager to help. And fast forward to the BharatPe saga. His own co-founders voted against him. In both the situation, no matter who was correct, but we can observe that nobody stood with Grover. It was he who had to pick himself up and work for his betterment. The main takeaway is during the time of crisis, you would have your own bag. Nobody is going to save you. The art of market penetration. When BharatPe was launched, the market was already being dominated by Paytm and PhonePe. For installing a QR code, the shopkeepers had to face a series of paperwork for KYC. But Ashneer Grover and his team eliminated these steps by launching pre-printed QRs. These QRs had to be just linked to the bank accounts of the shopkeepers and you are good to go. Do you remember the step 2 of influencing action in creating habit-forming products? Well, that's what Ashneer did here. He simplified the process of adoption. This facilitated the success of BharatPe. In addition to this, he also offered loans to the shopkeepers. 3 simple steps of starting a business. Well, if you are so enthusiastic to start a business, Ashneer has a very simple advice for you. First step being evaluating market size. You have to assess the right market size for your product. Then, you must differentiate your product from your competitors. You can know more about product differentiation by watching our 4 case study. And lastly, you must finalize the revenue model of your company. For example, BharatPe had a plan to earn interest by giving loans to the shopkeepers. So these were the 5 lessons which we can learn from the great shark. And before I bid a goodbye to you, make sure you subscribe or we might never meet again. Thank you.